Well, hey, everybody, welcome to 2022. So if you're watching this in 2023, that means you survived 2022, but this is kicking off 2022 here. And today we're going to discuss how Navy Buds, which we'll explain what that is. So how Navy Buds for beginners will help you navigate not just this year, 2022, but also the years ahead. So welcome to this edition this edition of the Military Wire with Mike Schindler. Let me do that again. You guys know who I am, but welcome to this edition of the Military Wire with Mike Schindler. And I am, in fact, Mike Schindler, and this is the podcast where we interview some of America's most elite men and women who have served this country in hopes that you, the listener, will get an aha moment that you can apply to your own life. So today, this is part one of a three-part series. We're going to do this with author and retired Command Master Chief Steve Giblin, Navy SEAL. Very excited to have you back on the show, Steve. And he is going to share with us insights from chapter 5 of his latest book, Walking in Mud. If you have not picked this book up, you need to. And he's going to explain what he learned from his BUDS training that will help you navigate the chaos of today's environment. So, Steve, welcome to the Military Wire.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love having you back. So our promise to our listeners is that we will essentially give them 3 of your truisms that you learned from BUDS that can be applied to the new normal, this new environment that we're living in, that, as you call, that will help them walk through the mud. So we know we need it. I think, 2020, for those who don't know, I think everybody knows, but for those who don't, 2020 was the beginning of an absolute, I don't know how to say it. I don't know if I want to say chaos or uncertainty, a combination of all of it. I think we all know, but it was a big global pandemic. And that became the new norm, this whole environment of volatility, uncertainty, and complexity, and all this ambiguity that went on all at once. So people were reeling, still are, I think, in many ways. So first of all, we say, okay, things that you learned in BUDS. Explain to our viewer what exactly is BUDS.
BUDS is the basic underwater demolition SEAL training. Been around for decades, and they are the maritime component, the SEAL team's maritime component of U.S. Special Operations Command, who then falls under Department of Defense, obviously. Although a lot of people might think that SOCOM is kind of their own service, they're not. So we kind of answer to 2 masters on that one. So the commanding officer, or the admiral at headquarters, actually answers to the chief of naval operations, the 4-star at the Pentagon, and he also answers to the 4-star at Special Operations Command headquarters. BUDS is, as it means in the very first word, basic, and that is where a candidate actually goes and learns the basic ins and outs of being a Navy frogman, being a Navy SEAL. It's 26 weeks, starting with BUDS orientation, which, believe it or not, we have people quit during BUDS orientation. It's not easy. It's not a walk in the park, but it's basically you learn everything you need to know to get you through first phase, paddling boats through the surf zone, doing log PT, doing the obstacle course, running timed runs, timed ocean swims, things like that, things of that nature. You get to work on technique and things like that. Then at the end of BUDS orientation, you actually compete to class up. So first phase can only handle about 170 students, and typically there's about 250 students that are there ready to class up at any given time. So everything is always kind of a competition, the secret race. And then you get into first phase. So after first phase, you basically are through first phase, second phase, and third phase. That's about another 21 weeks of training. Once you finish that, then you go on to SEAL qualification training immediately. There's no break, no leave, anything like that. And that's another 26 weeks of training. So 52 weeks of training prior to going to a SEAL team.
Wow. Wow. So it's a total commitment. So there's no question that you learn a ton through that experience, not only just skill set, but probably mindset, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We used to have we had an instructor there that said, it's mind over matter, gentlemen. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And that pertains to, just going through Hell Week, going to the obstacle course, doing a 4-mile run, doing a 2-mile swim. And a lot of times you did, 3 of those major evolutions in just one day. You would do, a 4-mile timed run in the morning and do an obstacle course after lunch, and then do an ocean swim, a timed ocean swim late that afternoon, or any combination there within, of how those play out. And it's just it's constant movement, constant physical activities. And when I talk about physical, we're talking, log PT, paddling an IBS, inflatable boat small with 5 of your closest classmates up and down the coast. Transporting those IBSs, what we call boats on heads, across the base or down the beach. It's a miserable affair. It really is. But what it does is it tests your mettle. And every day you have people quit.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
All the way through first phase, that is.
I want to circle back on that, people quitting, because I think that's something that we're seeing, like on the mental health piece, is, people quitting, right? Because, mentally it's tough. So let's talk about this, because you're talking about being in pretty extreme environments, testing your mettle, as you say, right? Every day you're just competing against yourself, but also other classmates. Like, can I do one more? I know some have called them micro wins. Like, Mark Devine calls them micro wins. I think there's a number of folks that just, if I can make it through the next 10 seconds, what are some simple techniques, Steve? And for those who don't know, you get 26 years with the Navy, 24 with the SEALs. So you've got great experience here. What's a simple technique that we can all apply that helps us kind of level set or focus when things get moving too fast, or if it's too chaotic?
Something I like to do, and it's something that I learned early on, was breathing techniques. And I actually learned it from a sniper. And what he taught us was breathing in for 4 through the nose, hold your breath for 4 seconds, exhaling through the mouth for 4 seconds. And you do this in a series of 4. So you repeat that series 3 more times. And that actually brings your heart rate down, gets oxygen to the brain, more oxygen than normal, and it actually calms you down. It calms you down, gets that heart rate down, and you actually think clearly. And if you do it in a deliberate manner, then you are deliberately trying to calm yourself down and think, just, okay, here's how I'm going to go through this. And, is it earth shattering? Is it life or death? Typically not, compared to other parts of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that referred to as box breathing. You just kind of create a box with your breath and be able to slow that down. I think that's so important. It's that whole quick to listen, slow to speak, but also, applying that in a way that you can go, wait a second, I just need a level set. How do I do that without panicking? How do I act or respond versus react, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. A lot of times, what a lot of people don't understand, especially these hot-headed people that we know or that we've come across in our life, and everybody's come across one, or maybe they are one, is how are people going to react to our reactions?
Yeah.
So if we come off as hot-headed when somebody comes across as rude or whatever, we just explode, that just accelerates the situation and makes it even more volatile. So if we choose to react in a different way, calmer maybe, and bring calm to the situation, or somebody cuts you off in traffic, don't react, then that actually will calm things down.
Yeah, such good advice. Okay, I want to jump into Buds for Beginners, because I love how you say that in this book. So this, again, Walking in Mud, your latest book. kind of help us unpack these times. So, what are three truisms we can apply from your book that you learned from Buds that we can apply to our own lives that'll help us navigate these times?
Something that our grandparents, our parents told us: tell the truth.
Mm,
Um, always being truthful, and
yeah,
the benefits of telling the truth. The truth will set you free, goes the old saying, right?
yeah,
And I'll tell you what, that has never been more truer than it is today. I was just actually reading an article about, and it depends on, what media source do you go to? And, they're talking about, the leadership in the White House lying to us about, Russia and Ukraine, or
yeah,
lying to us about the COVID situation, the pandemic. And it's, and I don't want to break it down into the most simplistic terms, because I don't want to insult anybody. But if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember your lies.
yeah. So true.
We've seen some politicians that have been caught up in lies, right? You'll earn trust and respect
Yeah,
from not just your peers, but from everybody, really. You'll create deeper connections with people.
mm,
People know that you're very genuine and telling the truth, authentic. They tend to, you create a bond,
yeah,
right? Even in just a simple conversation.
yeah,
You'll also feel more confident because, hey, I'm just telling the truth and I don't have to remember a lie. And I
yeah,
don't, you can, when people tell lies, unless they do it for a living, they, you can tell when they lie. And it starts to create a little bit of friction and a little bit of unsettling between everybody.
yeah.
Um,
So
and
true.
trust creates opportunities, right? So if people trust you because they know that you're honest and genuine, opportunities will come up.
Yeah. So good. It's such a powerful, it's so that is so powerful. I mean, if that's one thing we can apply to this is just truth, that's good. What's point number two? What would you say is another truism?
Well, treat people the way you want to be treated. It's one of these things where, if somebody treats you like you're a jerk, you're just gonna, again, it comes back to that reaction,
Yeah.
right? And what is that reaction that somebody else is going to bring back towards you? And if you're not treating people the way that you want to be treated, then how can you ever demand respect from anybody?
Yeah. Yeah.
We learned that really early on in Buds, and that was huge. That was huge because it creates that teamwork that started in Buds and carried on into the teams.
Mm, yeah. I think it goes to, especially now, treating other people like our neighbor, right? Like, how well do we want to be treated as a neighbor and how well do we want to treat our neighbor? I think that's so, it's so easy to say. I think there's moments, Steve, that I struggle with it. Like,
Sure.
you know, I use box breathing a lot. So,
Yeah.
right. I
Right.
mean, there's moments. So, okay, point number three. What's a third truism?
Think about how your actions affect others, not just how you're treating people, but in doing everyday things in life. And you were just talking about neighbors. We've got, we're a foot and a half of snow out here in Western New York, and you see it every day. We've got people with snow blowers out there or with plows or something, and you'll invariably you get the person that is blowing his snow over to somebody else's property or blowing it out onto the main road in hopes that the snowplow, the county snowplow comes by and gets it, right? There's there's sort of ethical practices to just dealing with snow, or even in the summertime, whether you're cutting grass or firing up a chainsaw at 7 a.m, wait
Yeah.
until 8 o'clock in the morning, that kind of thing. We
Yeah.
had a neighbor one night in the summer. He must have been just hell-bent on getting a project done, and he had his chop saw going at midnight.
Oh,
And
gee.
he was out in his front yard. It's dead quiet. We live in rural New York, and just acres. Everybody's on an
Yeah.
acre, if not more. And all of a sudden, this guy fires up his chop saw. We're sleeping with our windows open. You
Mm.
know, So yeah, it's think about how your actions affect others. And, obviously this guy doesn't want to, have friends as neighbors. So
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you're talking second and third order effects, like not only what's
absolutely.
good for me, but we're talking about what is the impact from that
Yeah,
decision.
the ripple
Yeah,
effect.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
good. It's
100%.
you've got so many great things in this book. This is, like I said, part one of a three-part series. We're going to talk about part two, and I don't want to give that away yet. But if you're watching this now, you got to get on to part two, because part two, we're going to be talking about something that's really, really important, which is about resilience. And so we'll dive deeper on that. But you guys got to pick up Steve's book, Walking in Mud. There's so many great truisms that you have in chapter 5. And so how do people get a hold of this book here, Steve?
It's available online through Amazon, Post Hill Press, my publisher, Simon & Schuster, who's my distributor, Target, Walmart. Gosh, who else? Who else? Scary. I should have this down.
Well, suffice it to say, you could almost Google it, right? I mean,
right.
you'd be able to
Yeah,
land on
actually,
it. Yeah.
if you Google it, a whole list comes up. Barnes and Noble. It's the audio version is available through audiobooks.com.
Yep.
Not
Oh
only
boy, we got you frozen a little
but
bit here. There you go.
listen to the. Oh, yeah, it's available, and it's probably $10.
Yeah, it's great. Good. Good. Hey, that's all right. So we had a little glitch there. Here's the thing for those who are watching this. You guys know what it's like. Studios at home, Steve's at home. We're trying to do these. We got this whole pandemic scare. Steve, we got most of it. Bottom line is, be sure that you Google his latest book. And also, if you want to follow Steve, frogmanleadership.com, be sure that you visit his site there at frogmanleadership.com. So Steve, thanks again for being on the Military Wire.
Mike, pleasure.